Hi everyone, my name is Lonwabo Simbi. I work at NFB Private Wealth Management. So I'm going to tell you about my journey and my story with my New Voice program. First heard about the program in 2019. Well, I got an email from our ops manager. She wasn't that pushy at that time. She was like, "Yeah, you guys want to do this? Find your voice." As soon as I saw it, I thought it was like, it seems like a Toastmasters kind of a thing. Like, I'm not really keen on that. Like, no, I'll pass. And one of my colleagues ended up going, and she came back, and she had, well, the story was pretty epic. It was very good. And Sam sent an email again beginning of this year. I looked at it, I'm like, Rulo didn't really sell it. He's like, I'm not gonna do it. Then she pestered me. I was like, okay, let me fill this application form in. So I fill the application form, and as I'm going through the questions, I'm like, yeah, I'm supposed to be doing my work, but I have to do all this now. But as I'm going through the questions, I'm like, hey, this seems like this is getting pretty deep. I'm kind of liking the questions because they're testing me. So I tell my colleagues that I'm just gonna fill this thing in so that they don't take me. I promise you, I'm gonna write like I wouldn't mind bombing the whole world kind of a thing, just so that they just don't take me. But I actually end up answering very honestly. I don't check my emails, and I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, I tell my colleagues, don't take me. I hope they don't take me. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I know I nailed that freaking application. They gotta take me, but I don't want them to take me. The reply comes back and like, oh, you've been accepted. It's kind of bittersweet because I'm like, freak. Now I'm gonna have to apply myself to this thing. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, I knew I nailed it. So basically, through this program, I think, like a lot of people have said, I've learned a lot of soft skills that I know that I would have never learned at university. That's one thing I know for a fact. I probably learned a few things in an ethics class when I was doing accounting, but nothing more than that. So going to my slides. Well, my slide. It has 3 pictures and it depicts growth, transformation, and change. I thought of changing the first one with the metamorphosis and whatnot, the caterpillar. And I recently learned that sure, it starts off a caterpillar, but when it's in the cocoon, it actually turns into a totally 100% liquid form before it turns into a butterfly. It's a bit extreme. I don't think the changes I've gone through are like are that big. So people just try and imagine a wagon wheel. That's a metaphor I'll use. So before I joined the program, I like to think of myself as an olden day wagon wheel with its wooden spokes, with just a pinch of tech and knowledge. But through the course, I have changed to a certain extent, especially with my emotional intelligence, because I also think I am kind of selfish in a way. And I'm sometimes selfish to the weirdest people. I'm selfish to the people that are actually closest to me. And I show more love to people that are strangers, which is pretty weird. So I think by transformation in that sense, from a wagon wheel, I like to think of myself now as a derailer. Derailer is that thing on a bicycle that has gears. We can change gears, but not like a 5-speed 50,000 rand bicycle. Like a teenager's bike. This is a learning process. You're learning it. This is more evident, well, through my experiences. My relationship with my girlfriend is close to perfect. I've been with her for 6 years. Yeah, it's really because it's been rough, especially through lockdown and people fall up in your face all the time. It's not. So that's changed in that sense, and also in the sense that sometimes when before, I won't really engage with people. I'll just talk to you if I felt like I had to talk to you, and I don't have a problem with actually randomly, if I see that you're not doing well, I'll ask you, are you fine? And not just like, are you fine in the sense I'm asking it because I have to ask it. I'm asking because I genuinely mean it, are you fine? And like, well, yesterday, situation yesterday, a colleague of mine found out that a friend of hers had just passed away. Normal me would be sitting at my desk, hear the conversation a little bit, headphones on. Don't want to get into that crying space. Don't want to be all mushy and emotional. Now I was like, I can see she's hurting and she can't even work. So I ask her if she's fine. We have a conversation. I share with her a story about a friend I lost 3 years ago. Pretty deep, but through talking and actually engaging, obviously did get a little bit emotional because she started crying. But I was comfortable and fine with that, and I was happy with the fact that after we had that like 20, 30 minute conversation, she felt good and she was fine. And she sent a message late last night saying that, hey, bra, life and so on and so forth. Just those deep conversations. I was happy that I was at least able to help her deal with it, even though she's far away from her friend and well where the friend lives. Was that I was able to help her in that regard. And another one, with the whole asking people if they're fine. Sometimes I get responses like when you're just asking for the sake of asking, or people just give you very bland and flat answers. What Find My Voice has taught me is that sometimes it's not really that the other person is not being nice. They can probably see it off you that you don't actually mean what you're saying. And I think one of the things that we did discuss, or a phrase that was said, is that you get what you are when you speak to people and you interact with people. So if you're quick to judge and you're sort of thinking that you are not a nice person because you acted to me like that, nah, maybe I'm the problem because that's the energy that I give off. And as of late, I've been nicer and friendlier over the past 7 months, improved relationships. People are smiling, people are happy to see me and getting pats on the back. Life is awesome. And the second one, that second picture is basically a cell. That's a cell dividing into two. In biology, it's known as mitosis. So through our group discussions, the one thing that I kind of felt, I know it wasn't mitosis, but it kind of felt like it in my body and in my head, was as soon as the discussion started, like you just felt a certain way, and you felt like sometimes you felt like you wish that the session didn't even end. And it sparked some old memories in my mind because when I was in varsity, I think, well, I know two of my friends, yeah, they joined the not old mutual, Nedbank graduate program. So when they came back, they suggested that we start this thing that's called the table of honor, and I think they picked it up from the GIP institutional business because that's where Nedbank was sending it to school. So that was basically initially it started off as us as young graduates talking around the table very informally and sharing ideas because other people had jobs, other people didn't have jobs. But it quickly grew into something that we didn't even think of where we're like, okay, now we've done all this. We've had lecturers come in, we've had professors come in and talk to us. We've been to all the universities. Now what do we do? Well, we've got a bit of extra cash, and I don't want to forget the things that I've taught, that I've learned. I want to go help out the less fortunate places, teaching kids at school, literally buying like in closer. Well, people have is Stokvel. We literally do Stokvels around Christmas and Easter. Just pump money, pump money, pump money. And from the kids that we had been helping out, we go help out their families with groceries and all that stuff. So that was nice. So the whole discussions actually kind of brought that up and reignited that in me. And I'm actually thinking of trying to talk to some of my friends and hopefully some of the fellow Rotarians to actually do something like that. Because I think the whole program and the discussions we were having wouldn't be, I think, be fair on all of us because I thoroughly enjoyed them. To just let it stop there because the program is over. That leads me on to the third one. That there is a picture of the universe. The reason I put that one there is because, well, based on the who's this guy? Can't believe I forgot his name. Oh, Albert Einstein. Yeah, his theory and the Big Bang theory of how the whole universe was started. Big Bang, everything spread, particles go everywhere. And the theory behind modern day, or even the olden day guys, those physicists and astrophysicists, is that the universe keeps on expanding. It's never expanding. I try to bring that home to me in terms of how the program has affected me and the way that I've internalized it. I also know that we don't use much of our brains. We only use about 20 or 30%. So there's ample room for learning. We could always grow. And in that, we've learned all these fluencies. It's only been 7 months. It's not a very long time. This is a lifelong journey, I think. This has taught us a lot of things, taught me a whole lot of things. I think most importantly, with all the emotional intelligence and the collaboration and everything, it's actually given me a clearer direction, because I have a little boy, he's 3 years old. Give me a much more clearer direction in how I can actually mold and help him grow, and the way that I can teach him and other people within the community, and so on and so forth. So that's about most of the things that I've learned. And I'm just gonna end it. Oh, one more other thing. Another way that I know I've changed is that my YouTube suddenly changed because of all these videos that we used to watch in the sessions. And with another colleague, we were just having a general conversation, and he was like, "Oh, Brad, you see, like how these recommendations on YouTube can be so strange sometimes, and then sometimes it can be so epic, and you're like, wow, I didn't even know." So my YouTube has changed, and I watched this other video by what's his name? His name is Admiral McCoffin. Yeah, you know. So this guy apparently he's in the special ops. He was responsible. He was part of the guys. He was one of the guys, or the team leader for the teams that actually found Osama bin Laden and killed him, found Saddam Hussein, and also saved some awesome captain guy that almost died. I forgot his name because his name was pretty long. But he's one message in the video that I watched. He says, if you want to change the world, start by making your bed. I think that's an awesome message, because it's a pretty long video, but what he's trying to say is that if you start your day by making your bed, you will have at least accomplished the first task of the day. If you can accomplish the first task of the day, it will be easier for you to do the second and the third and the fourth. And over and above that, let's say your plan was to do 20 tasks in that day, but you only end up doing 2, or you do 5, but the other ones are just flops. At least you'll go home to a made bed. And you can snuggle up nicely. And yeah, and it also, in the very same breath, it talks about you can be one small little change can make a big difference. Because all of us, we're all made up of small little cells, and yet we can stand as complete human beings. We all started off as measly little things like this, and look at us now. So thank you.